This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
There he is, Ira Winderman. He is ready to rock. Good morning, sir. How are you doing? And no glasses today. We didn't catch you.
No, I actually have the timing of the show down pretty good right now, so I can get that to work. It's really interesting, because this will be one of our final Acura Pembroke Pines reports before the Heat start camp. So this is one of our last chances to speculate what might happen, what they might be thinking, and then we'll sort of see that put a little bit more into practice. But I don't know, based on the way this past football weekend went, I think the Heat are arriving right on schedule.
Yes. Yeah, you're right, actually. That's going to help out to watch the Heat a little bit and get excited about this season. I'm with you there. And by the way, I got really excited. The FTX Arena is going to be hosting the Fugees in November. They are making their reunion tour, and they're going to the FTX Arena, home of crypto. So I like that. So I'm sure you'll be there, right, for the Fugees concert?
I wouldn't miss it, although I'm sure. And you know what? This always happens also. My wife will ask me, there'll be a concert at the arena she wants to go to. And I always tell her, honey, if there's a concert at the arena, it probably means the Heat are on the road. And that's why the building is open. So I'm probably more likely to make a concert at the BB&T Center, which might come between Heat home games or something like that.
Yeah, you're right. It's on the 21st of November. So I don't know what your schedule is. I don't know what the Heat schedule is right now.
Plenty of road. You know what? Plenty of road games. And that's actually almost an interesting Heat segue. The Heat road schedule is so road intensive early in the season that we'll get an idea, a read of where this team stands from a mental toughness standpoint and a record standpoint early because of those road trips. I mean, they go off. They have a big West Coast trip. They have a huge trip coming around Thanksgiving, including Chicago and Detroit and Washington, Minnesota. So they'll get a read on themselves. This is a brutal starting schedule. So one, does it help you have a bunch of veteran players coming in? Or does it hurt because you have so many newcomers coming in? Again, you can be a veteran and know the system of the Raptors or the Lakers or the Bucks or the Rockets, but how much is the Heat system going to be a little bit of a jolt to you? Or how much does Eric Spoelstra sort of connoiter his system to accommodate the veterans so they're more familiar? A lot of moving parts here, a lot of ways this could go.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. The only thing is, for that team, I worry about their mental toughness that you were talking about only on a portion of the roster. I don't worry about Lowry and Butler and those kind of cats. I worry about the young guys showing me that kind of toughness in a way. And I think you got to make sure you develop those young guys so you can get them ready for the postseason, because the young guy, I told you before, in my eyes, the young guys have to be the scoring engine for this team in the end. The other guys, the veterans can help you out in clutch moments, closing moments in games, all those kind of things. You want them to step forward. But throughout the season and throughout, early on in playoff games, I want these young guys to really carry the load and make life easy for the veterans.
Except Big O, who are we really classifying as a young guy? I agree with you with Tyler Hero, certainly.
I'm saying they're untested.
Yeah, but you know what? Bam Adebayo is his fourth season in. Duncan Robinson has been there as long, came in late in one season, played full 4 years in college, is an older player. So it's interesting when we talk about Heat young guys. I think when you give a guy like Bam Adebayo his max rookie scale extension, he ceases to get the young guy excuse. Oh, he'll figure it out. He'll get it. His time is now. I think the same thing with Duncan Robinson. When you commit 5 years, $90 million, his time is now.
I agree.
Tyler Hero, a little bit different because, again, he's on the rookie scale. You and I always talk, this is a salary cap rule. When you're on the rookie scale, it is a little bit different. But to me, when you're on the veteran scale, a veteran extension, the maximum rookie scale extension, it changes. The young player excuse to me is out the door for the Heat. Yes, they have some prospects that they brought in through Summer League and Omar Yurtseven, players like that. But for the most part, the time is now. I don't give the young player pass anymore to Bam Adebayo. I don't give the young player pass anymore to Duncan Robinson. The expectations are real, they're genuine, and they should be.
I'm with you there. Now, interesting story that I saw with LeBron James and Carmelo Anthony, and we're pulling up the quote here for those of you out there. And Melo got signed obviously with the Lakers, and he was
Mhm.
telling the story, and he says it was a real call though. It wasn't like no BS. It was a real call. I wasn't expecting it from him. I mean, we talked about it years before about getting with each other, but I heard it, and that's my brother. I've known him since I was 15, 16. I heard it, yo, I need you. Say less. You ain't got to say nothing. I already know what time it is when you hit me direct. The GM ain't hit me. You, the GM. Then he said a word there that they can only say. He hit me. He was like, yo, champ, this time is now. And you felt it. I felt it. And so for those of us that have always wondered about how controlling LeBron is and if he's the GM wherever he goes, except here in Miami, there's the proof right there. And there's Carmelo Anthony. And in a way, while this is, we can have fun with it, if you're the GM in Los Angeles, that's maybe not a story you want getting out, even though we kind of know it, but we
We
don't
knew
want
it. Oh, we knew it in
I know.
Cleveland. And you know what? We might not have said it in Miami, but the moment LeBron James agreed to sign in 2010, his first edict to the Heat was get Mike Miller. So from the get-go in Miami, he had his guys who were there. Even early on in his Heat tenure, the Heat had to make a choice: a proven veteran in Eddie House or a young neophyte defender no one really knew, former second-round draft choice in Patrick Beverley. They went with Eddie House. Why? Because LeBron James wanted to win in that moment, wanted to win now. He's always pulled the strings. But you know what? Oh, I'm not saying that in a condescending way. I believe your superstar in a sport where only 5 men play at a time has the right to pull the strings. He's that big a part of it. This isn't Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay, where you have 22 starters on both sides of the ball, plus special teams, where you need a front office who can see the bigger picture also in a salary cap league. LeBron pulled the strings in Cleveland before he came to Miami. LeBron helped or encouraged the strings while he was in Miami. Certainly did so when he went back to Cleveland, whether it was giving up that first number 1 pick that was Andrew Wiggins, instead bringing in Kevin Love, getting his former Heat guys to join him, whether it was James Jones, whether it was Birdman, whether it was Mike Miller, and doing that. And you know what? I have no issue with that. I have no issue with him doing it with the Lakers. This is a 5-man game. If you're 20% of the starting lineup and 50% of the expectations, no issue whatsoever. And with Anthony Davis's rim deterrence there with the Lakers, it'll help Carmelo. He didn't have that with, Joseph Nurkic when he was in Portland. He didn't always have that in New York. So we'll have the kind of guy. It reminds me, you might remember this name. The Heat had a guard when Riley first arrived, named was Sasha Danilovic. Remember him, Predrag Danilovic? Predrag Danilovic would play defense.
Terrible beard, by the way. Terrible beard, by the way. I remember.
That was before Scruffy became the thing. So he comes in. All he would do on defense was this. He would play defense and immediately start shouting, Zoe, 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 as if, Zoe, come here and help me. My man's about to dribble around me. You have to help me. So that's the difference. With a rim protector, I think Carmelo becomes a different player. You cannot play Carmelo Anthony on a team where there's not a second line of defense. There is no defense with Carmelo Anthony. Not really sure there ever was.
Well, Ira, I would imagine that in the Heat offices, they are praying right now that that NBA plan of the new TV deal that could possibly lead to the cap's 112 this year.
Right.
It could take it all the way up to $175 million. I would imagine that, considering Miami's missing some picks down the line and Riley loves his free agents, loves his veterans, I guess this is something that Miami is rooting for in a couple of years.
Yeah, I'd say the 2 most dangerous men in sports with money would be Orlando Alzugaray and Pat Riley. With Orlando Alzugaray, he loads up with our good friends from Acura, Pembroke Pines, Pallet, Rock City, and all of a sudden, Omar Kelly, Manny Navarro, the whole crew are showing up. Ira Winderman on the Big O Show. Then there's Pat Riley at a slightly different level. Pat Riley with money, I don't think has ever let the Heat down, because Pat Riley without money has still managed to make major purchases, including Jimmy Butler. So yeah, if Pat Riley continues on with the team, again, he has not mentioned retirement. He's just sort of getting things in order right now. Yeah, anytime the Heat have had cap space, they've been a threat. The league knows that. Pat Riley knows it. This is sort of churning that way. So as much as you were telling me, hey, they might be too old with 35-year-old Kyle Lowry, with Jimmy Butler, with his extension that takes him to 36, there might be an escape hatch here, and that might be the new salary cap coming forward.
Hey, you got to admit, we got the best lineup in sports radio locally now. I mean, you do have to admit that, right?
Sure. I look at the Venmo account every time and I'm going, there's nothing like the Big O Show.
That's right. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. That's the other thing. We do pay on time, don't we?
Kind of a nice change of pace.
Yes, a very nice change of pace. No, I mean, I've been to places where they actually steal your money. Okay, so yeah,
I'm not going there. That's your life experience.
Yes, well, I've had plenty of experiences already with a lot of shadiness. Let's just say, my brother. So I'm just glad that I'm just glad we can create a platform where we don't have to deal with all that other stuff. You know what I'm saying? That's the beauty of all of this.
And I can't wait for your salary cap to go up. So it's all good, Big O.
Oh, yes. And that's hopefully the only way it's going to do is go up. Jersey retirement. I thought you had an Ask Ira, an interesting question because of the whole Lowry thing and then Dragic and using the numbers. And then I got to go off on the other stuff.
Sure.
Have they watered it down also? Do we take jersey retirement a little less serious because of the Michael Jordan, because of the Shaq stuff and all that? And maybe whether it's honor or retirement or whatever you want to look at in those jerseys, but the perception is retirement. And I almost feel like the Heat has kind of brought that on themselves, that maybe people don't take the jersey retirement that serious because we kind of go, the running joke is, well, the Heat retire everybody's jersey.
Well, Pat Riley's whole thing is he wants to make good with everyone and honor anyone he can. So we know that the Dan Marino's jersey's up on the wall. It used to be in the rafters. The Heat say that number's not retired. That's in honor of Dan's work in South Florida. Understand that. Michael Jordan's number 23 is retired. Pat Riley felt strongly that he made such strong contributions to the game that even when he was with the Wizards and retiring, that should be honored. Almost, and again, a different style, almost like Major League Baseball with Jackie Robinson. Obviously, Jackie Robinson, completely different groundbreaker. Yes. But their thought was, hey, you know what? This league was going to die after the Magic Johnson, Larry Bird era, when there was a real void there and it was going sideways. And then Michael Jordan enters the picture and it's all of a sudden, it's been just, an upward curve ever since. So I understand that. Then Pat Riley tries to make his peace with Shaquille O'Neal. Very brief Heat career, ended awfully. Number one, nearly with a fight that Alonzo Mourning had to break up during practice. Then with Shaq bad-mouthing the Heat on the way out the door when he was with the Suns. But they made their peace.
Chris
and you
Quinn,
know what? And you know what? Shaq comes back as a spokesman for Carnival Cruise Line. So with Mickey Arison, so they try to make that right. So when you look at the Heat, retired jerseys, the one I always go back to, and God bless him, and I do think he should be in the Hall of Fame as well, but he's not yet. And that's Tim Hardaway. He never got past the Eastern Conference Finals. He'd had some very nice numbers, but when you do that, this because you deal with this every year when we talk about Major League Baseball, even NFL. When you keep adding more to your class, the bar becomes a little bit lower. So you always look at the lowest member of the Hall of Fame and say, does this player's credentials supersede that? And then you go from there. This year at the NBA Hall of Fame, I wish it was NBA, the Basketball Hall of Fame, it seemed like everyone who showed up in Springfield, it's like it was like Oprah. You're a Hall of Famer and you're a Hall of Famer. And everyone is getting it. God bless Bob Dandridge and what he did in his career. I understand all that, but you're moving the bar. I think the Heat has done that. So the comparison I try to make was this. If Tim Hardaway is in the Heat rafters with his number, I can make an argument with Goran Dragic making an NBA Finals, with Goran Dragic being, at one point, the leading man on this team. Don't know if Tim Hardaway ever was with this team. Then at least I can make an argument you should consider this. And the Heat has not ruled it out at all. And the Heat have done this before. They gave up Shaquille O'Neal's number twice before they eventually retired it. So we're not at the end game right here. What I'm really curious about is the Heat, with Goran's permission, Tim Reynolds mentioned that in one of his tweets, went ahead and came out and said, hey, we're doing this. We're giving Kyle number 7 his mostly career number. Goran said it's okay. Right now, the Toronto Raptors are listing Goran Dragic as number 7. However, that's the preliminary camp roster. I'm really curious to see what number Goran winds up with in Toronto. Does he get the same courtesy? I don't think so. So I'm curious to see how that plays out.
By the way, before we wrap it up, and listen, I actually enjoyed Rachel Nichols. I thought she did a good job, and I
Mhm.
understand the politics behind their decision, everything that went on, and it's a taboo thing in our business when you are trying to stop somebody from getting better, and that's something that you should never ever do in
Right.
life. Period. Not just our business, because in our business, it's a notorious thing that goes on a lot. You know what I mean? So, and sadly, it reared its ugly head in that moment. But I thought they did a nice job by awarding somebody that's kind of paid their dues. And Malika Andrews, she's very likable. She does a really good job. And I thought that, with Perkins, Chimmy, I don't know how to pronounce her last name, but I love her personality. I think she's fantastic. Vince Carter, Zach Lowe, Woj, and Ramona. I thought they rebounded nicely with NBA today. Your thoughts on that?
My thought is this: they are constantly chasing Turner and Charles and Kenny
Oh,
and
yeah,
Shaq and Ernie, and they
you
still are
can't.
chasing. So when you talk about the turnover, whether it's Rachel for her comments that were recorded without her knowing, her apology after, however you want to put that, I think
Right.
there's going to be a natural churn at ESPN until they get it right. And unfortunately, the bar has been set so high. There's no other in any other sport. Say what you want about Fox's NFL coverage or anyone else. There's
I know
no
where you're going.
other show that is so dominant there. So I don't think this is the last iteration of what ESPN
Oh,
does.
no.
They're
No.
going to keep trying to find someone. I think ESPN will make their move if Charles Barkley follows through with his vow to retire. And all of a sudden, Turner comes down a little bit. Maybe they poach someone. Maybe they become the show. But until then, I think this even transcends Rachel Nichols' moment, whatever you think about that. And I think there was going to be a natural churn. Remember, that's for their NBA live show at 3 o'clock on weekdays. They still have that studio
Right.
show. They've gone
Right.
through Stage Steel. They've gone through Michelle Beadle. I mean, there's so many who've come and gone. I need to see the whole product. I'm also curious. Remember this year, Big O, that ESPN and now TBS are getting the NHL. They have to start their studio programming there. So it's really interesting. The gold standard in all of sports studio shows right now, actually, I'll say there are two of them. I'm going to be fair, okay? There's Turner with what they've done with the NFL, and I think College Game Day for football, and what ESPN has done with Kirk Herbstreit, with Lee Corso there. So I think you're always chasing to get to that level. Right now, ESPN still is in chase mode.
Ira, I've worked in this business a long time, and I've worked and I had to deal a lot with the politics. And obviously, I'm a guy that pushes the envelope in a lot of ways. And so I know that. I mean, I know who I am and I know what I do and all that stuff. But where I would counter with you, I don't think ESPN is chasing because I don't think ESPN, quite frankly, has the balls to
Hmm.
put that kind of a show on their network. To put 3 guys there that are gonna be brutally honest when the game sucks, when it's unwatchable, those kind of Barkley will let you know. I just think they're too honest for that environment. TNT is willing to allow them to do their thing. I think ESPN would try to control that, and they would lose, look at Levitard. I mean, in a way, that's kind of a radio show that pushes envelopes too at times, and they didn't want a part of that. I think ESPN is way too conservative in that sense to even push the envelope and go in that direction. So I don't think they're ever going to compete with those people because they can never come up with that kind of talent, and they don't have the guts to put that kind of show
Well,
on their.
there's another element. There's no news breaking element on the Turner show. And even NBA
Right.
TV, I know you watch, they used to have their expert in David Aldridge. They really don't anymore. They follow the news. So if you want to break the news and get the scoop from players, from GMs, from agents, and from the league, you can't criticize players and agents and GM and the league. So that's the difference. ESPN's people are also trying to get news. Zach Lowe does a great job. Ramona Shelburne does a great job. Of course, Woj is Woj in a league of his own. So they're sort of right in the balance because they have a sports center. There's no sports center on TNT. There really isn't an NBA sports center on NBA TV. It's a different kind of makeup. It's more review and highlights. So that's part of it also. Chuck can say a coach sucks, a player sucks, a GM sucks, an agent sucks. There's no repercussion. He's not going to get a Chuck bomb. There's not going to be a Kenny bomb. That's not what they do. I've always felt that ESPN is such a quid pro quo operation that they have to look out for people also. And you see that. They'll also won't criticize to a degree, whether it's LeBron or someone else. We've seen people who go out the door from ESPN, like Amin El-Hassan and people like that, who are more willing to do that because they don't have to play that quid pro quo game. So it is different, but I don't care. You still can have a more refreshing program.
Yeah. So you're saying is I have no shot at working for ESPN. Okay. I got you.
I'm saying, hey,
I totally
and you know what?
understand.
And it's hard for me also because here I am every day, Ask Ira, SunSentinel.com. I'm trying to answer questions candidly for my readers. And you bet I hear from the Heat. And you bet I hear this was wrong. We disagree with that. So it is a fine line. I wish I could just write game stories and features and we had an insider. We had someone who would come up with the tweets and everything and I wouldn't have to play both sides. I wouldn't have to know something but not write something. I'll give you an example. Summer League, I'm up in Las Vegas, down in Las Vegas, west in Las Vegas, and I run into Kasib Powell, former Heat player, an assistant coach with the Sioux Falls Skyforce, and I was talking to him, and it became obvious he was going to be the next Skyforce coach. But you know what? I knew it was so much more important to the people up in Sioux Falls that they find out who their coach is going to be, that it become an important story for them, that I congratulated Kasib Powell probably on about, August 6th, for getting the job, but I didn't write about it until the Heat announced it on September 12th and 13th, because sometimes the story belongs in a little different place. So it is hard to work that way also. But that's part of it when you're the reporter and the writer and the analyst and the columnist. It's a little different world we live in sort of our shrunken journalism world right now.
Yeah, I used to get those calls, and then I would tell them, it's my opinion, bro. You don't like it too bad. And then they stopped calling.
I'll give him your number. I'll have him text you.
They figured out like, yeah, we're not going to reach him. So don't even bother anymore. He's going to say what he wants to say, and he's going to tell us to go to hell. So it is what it is. What are you working on the Sun Sentinel, my friend? So folks
just posted a story on Dwayne Dedman. Here's this big, muscled, probably the most imposing Heat big man since Hassan Whiteside or Alonzo Mourning. And I asked him, how do you get ready for training camp? And he said, by taking his young son to Disney on Ice. So there he was rooting for Minnie and Mickey Mouse and, just sort of offering his human side. And then I talked to him about the basketball side. And I said, look, we both saw how you were demolished on the boards last year in the playoffs, last season in the playoffs by the Bucks. Were there times you wish you could get out there and just take care of it on the boards? His per-minute rebounding numbers were dominant when he arrived in April, were dominant in May. And he was honest because he's a veteran and he knows. So instead of pushing for more playing time, what he told me was this. In every minute I'm out there, I will provide as much of that as I can. Oh, it's going to be very interesting. Eric Spoelstra's favorite small ball, likely to start PJ Tucker at power forward, likely to come off the bench with a smaller Markieff Morris. Really curious. You and I have spoken for over a month here on the Acura Pembroke Pines report. Are they going to give the bigs a chance? Dwayne Dedman, Omar Yurtseven, what he did in Summer League. I think that'll be interesting. Small ball really let the Heat down in the playoffs last year, but it also has worked previously with Jay Crowder. So I think the Dwayne Dedman factor might be a little bigger than we might expect.
I like it. And you know what I always love is the people that challenge me and say, why are you talking basketball now during football season? I'm like, there's always basketball to talk about year round. And you and I prove it every single week with another great conversation, my friend. Thank you very much.
And tomorrow we'll go for an hour with Clay Ferraro on Pallet Rack City Inside the Paint. And it'll be interesting because I'm going to ask Clay, basically, give me your thoughts on what you think the Heat will do. And then a week from then, we'll come back. Training camp will have started. And then we'll hear from Eric Spoelstra and the players what they plan to do. So we're going to set the stage tomorrow from 10 to 11 a.m. with our Pallet Rack City Inside the Paint.
9 to 10, sir.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. All right. I didn't know if you agreed with a formal move up this week. So I'm good on either time, but okay.
I thought that last night. That's what we agreed.
Yeah, so I want it going forward in the season. So I think for the timing of our listeners, we'll go ahead tomorrow. 9 o'clock is fine. And folks, by the way, Big O will give you a note that you can now arrive late to work every Wednesday. So you can listen to Inside the Paint from Pallet Rack City, and then you can go to work. So again, just, Big O, everyone follows him on Twitter. Just DM him and he'll give you a nice note. Won't be COVID related, but you know what? We all get a headache. We're all feeling a little down in the dump. So he'll take care of you.
There you go. 9 to 10 a.m.
9
New
to
starting
10 a.m.
time
going
for
forward.
Inside the Paint. So the show overall will start at 8:30. We'll warm up the seat for the boys, and then they take over at 9
you're my
a.m.
fluffer. Very nice, Big O.
There you go. God. Good job, Myra. All right,
Thanks,
my brother. We will see you tomorrow. Be good.
Thank you.